umuhle. Umuhle mabonakude. Ukwazi ukuthatha abantu emakhaya ubabeke kwezinye izindawo baze balapho ngempela. Usikhombisa ubuhle bemvelo. Kuwe bona izingane ezinhlobonhlobo eziphatheka kahle neziphatheka kabi. Siyakwazi nokubona nezaphesheya kwezilwandle. Uma ukhona wena, siyakwazi ukubona ukuthi kwenzekani emhlabeni wonke ngenxa yezindaba nezemidlalo esizibona kuwe televishini enhle.
Pimple Problem by Ken Nesbitt. I had a little problem. It gave me quite a scare. I looked into the mirror and saw a pimple there. That pimple was enormous and growing on my nose, both bigger than a button and redder than a rose. I knew my friends would notice. I thought that they would stare. I figured they would laugh at me to see that pimple there. So that's when I decided I would give them a surprise. I grabbed a pen and drew on it 2 tiny little eyes. I drew a nose, a mouth, 2 ears, a moustache and a beard, to make my pimple obvious and wonderful and weird. My drawing was a winner and a hit with every friend. Now painting on our pimples is the hottest fashion trend. Thank you.
Monster Mules deur Albie Prinsloo. Sproetgesig klein vaan met sy Batman klere aan, vol al te selfvoldaan. Al die monsters wat saans skuil onder sy bed en hom laat huil, gaan hy met sy swaard verslaan. Met 'n boom, bam, doef, daf, draf hy gou die skurke kaf. Maar o aarde, keer, kyk nou wat hy gebeur. Vaan het sy toon beseer en sy matras is verrenoveer. Voor jy tot 10 kan tel, het Sproetgesig klein Vaan 'n slimme plan beraam. Hy moet net gou vir pappa bel op sy nuwe chocolate sel, voor kleinses eerste vir mamma vertel.
Vlooi, deur Friek Stroewig. In my bed kry ek 'n vlooi, sy lyfie lank, sy pootjies rooi. Hy byt en spring en laat my krap. Ek kruip maar kry toe nog gehak. Goed gedink en plan gemaak. My voorkop frons, my haar is strak. Toe gaan daar 'n likkie op, dit sal vloei se beter stop. Kom gou hier so kitsiekat, vloetjie moet 'n taxi vat. Op jou ruggie gaan hy ry, dan is ek van vloei bevry. So gesê, so gedaan. Hier kom my klein kitsie aan. Tel asseblief vir vloetjie op, dan sal my kajuwel stop. Ag nee, ek word gestraf. Hy laai vir vloei 'n maatjie af.
Two Dead Boys. Ladies and gentlemen, skinny and stout, I'll tell you a tale I know nothing about. Admission is free, so pay at the door. Now pull up a chair and sit on the floor. One bright day in the middle of the night, 2 dead boys got up to fight. Back to back they faced each other, drew their swords and shot each other. A blind man came to watch fair play. A mute man came to shout hooray. A deaf policeman heard the noise and came to stop those 2 dead boys. He lived on the corner in the middle of a block, in a 2-story house in a vacant lot. A man with no legs came walking by and kicked the lawman in his thigh. He crashed through a wall without making a sound. into a dry creek bed and suddenly drowned. A long black hearse came to cart him away, but he ran for his life and is still gone today. I watched from the corner of a big round table, the only eyewitness to the facts of my fable. But if you doubt my lies are true, just ask the blind man. He saw it too.
The Crocodile by Roald Dahl. No animal is half as vile as Crocky-Walk the crocodile. On Saturdays he likes to crunch 6 juicy children for his lunch. He especially enjoys just 3 of each, 3 girls, 3 boys. He smears the boys to make them hot with mustard from the mustard pot. But mustard doesn't go with girls. It tastes all wrong with plaits and curls. With them what goes extremely well is butterscotch and caramel. It's such a super marvelous treat when boys are hot and girls are sweet. At least, that's Crocky's point of view. He ought to know he's had a few. That's all for now. It's time for bed. Lie down and rest your sleepy head. Shh! What's that I hear galumphing softly up the stair? Go lock the door and fetch my gun. Go on, child. Hurry, quickly, run. No, stop. Stand back. He's coming in. Oh, look, that greasy greenish skin, the shining teeth, the greedy smile. It's Crocky-Walk the crocodile.
If You're Old and Have the Shakes by Roald Dahl. If you're old and have the shakes, if your bones are full of aches, if you can hardly walk at all, if living drives you up the wall, if you're a grump and full of spite, if you're a human parasite, then what you need is a Wonkavite. Your eyes will shine, your hair will grow, your face and skin will start to glow. Those rows of fat around your hips will vanish, and your wrinkled lips will get so soft and rosy pink that all the boys will smile and wink and secretly whisper that this is just the girl they want to kiss. But wait, for that is not the most important thing of which to boast. Good looks you'll have, we've told you so, but looks aren't everything, you know. Each pill as well to you will give an extra 20 years to live. So come, old friends, let's do what's right. Let's make our lives as bright as bright. Let's take a dose of this delight. It's heavenly magic, dynamite. You can't go wrong, you must go right. It's Willy Wonka's Wonkavite.
World's Hardest Test by Ken Nesbitt. Preparing today for the standardized test. Our teacher said there was a lot to digest. We'd have to divide by the square root of 3 and learn to spell zygote, facade, and marquee. We'd need to play xylophone, trumpet, and flute, accordion, banjo, piano, and lute. Recite all the capital cities by heart, and learn to take rocket ship engines apart. We'd have to speak Latin, Swahili, and Greek, learn nuclear fusion and fencing technique, remember the fables of Persia and Rome, and crack all the codes in the human genome. Then, just when we thought that our heads might explode from learning Chinese or dissecting a toad, she told us the very best thing she could say, that she was just kidding. It's April Fool's Day.
I Am Not Old by Nandita Shailesh Shanhag. My eyes are fine. They are just printing words small. I just use a walking stick to seem stately and tall. Nothing is wrong with my sense of smell.
My ears are fine if you don't whisper. But yeah, the wrinkles are just laugh lines. They will go away. It is fashion that has turned my hair from black to grey. It's the cold, not age, that is stiffening my knees. I like to hum as I walk. It's not a wheeze. What extra kilos? My scale is broken down. If I try, I can still fit into my wedding gown. My bones don't creak. My shoes are new. My memory is sharp. Oh, do I know you?
Multiplying Molecule by Husna Nusra Kara. Theorists theorize the beginning of the world, from a minuscule atom to an ever-growing planet. However, between all these theories and ideologies, could they ever foresee 2020? We started the year with goals and plans, and now we can't do a simple act of love, holding hands. What happened to this being the year where we achieved the opportunities we had? This virus is a thief. Distance is the new norm, and suddenly everyone is clean. We love a world that obsesses over health and hygiene. But then there are those who take advantage of one's patience, who drop their masks when they speak, who hang out like people aren't becoming weak, who ignore all the protocols because they've decided this pandemic should be called fake. We are glorifying a pandemic. We are sugarcoating a disease. This world is becoming hostile. And yet we sit here at ease? What happened to fighting for our beliefs? What happened to empowering the weak? What happened to educating those in need? We've lost our sense of humanity. So I stand before you all, criticizing my people for their actions, but for their inaction too. You've abused the future of the youth. So stop acting like this is some big law. Stop acting like this is something crafted for a story. Please just pause your mimicked reality, because this isn't some movie scene, this isn't some plot conspiracy. Predictions aren't concluded, Oscars aren't awarded, directors, haha, what are those? It's just you, 7 billion others, and a multiplying molecule. So let's defeat it.
As die son opkom, as die nag val en ek lê in my bed, duisternis neem oor en die oggend gaan my red. As die son opkom en ek staan op vir die dag, die hond hardloop in die tuin en maak my lag. Buite in die tuin hele dag die son skyn, soos die minuut in ere verander en die dae verdwyn.
The Captain's Daughter by James Thomas Fields. We were crowded in the cabin. Not a soul would dare to sleep. It was midnight on the waters, and a storm was on the deep. It is a fearful thing in winter, to be shattered by the blast, and to hear that rattling trumpet thunder, "Cut away the mast!" So we shuddered there in silence, for the stoutest held his breath, while the hungry seas were roaring, and the breakers talked with death. As thus we sat in darkness, each one busy with his prayers. "We are lost!" the captain shouted as he staggered down the stairs. But his little daughter whispered as she took his icy hand, "Is God upon the ocean, just the same as on the land?" Then we kissed the little maiden, and we spake in better cheer, and we anchored safe in harbour when the morn was shining clear.
The Listeners by Walter de la Mare. "Is there anybody there?" said the traveller, knocking on the moonlit door, and his horse, in the silence, champed the grasses of the forest's ferny floor, and a bird flew up out of the turret above the traveller's head,
and he smote upon the door again a second time. "Is there anybody there?" he said. But no one descended to the traveller. No head from the leaf-fringed sill leaned over and looked into his grey eyes, where he stood perplexed and still. But only a host of phantom listeners that dwelt in the lone house then stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight to that voice from the world of men, stood thronging the faint moonbeams on the dark stair that goes down to the empty hall, hearkening in an air stirred and shaken by the lonely traveller's call. And he felt in his heart their strangeness, their stillness, answering his cry, while his horse moved, cropping the dark turf neath the starred and leafy sky. Then suddenly he smote on the door even louder and lifted his head. "Tell them I came and no one answered, that I kept my word," he said. Never the least stir made the listeners, though every word he spake fell echoing through the shadowiness of the still house from the one man left awake. Aye, they heard his foot upon the stirrups and the sound of iron on stone, and how the silence surged softly backward when the plunging hooves were gone.
I was sitting by my window, by Linda Noss and Ken Nesbitt. I was sitting by my window, as I do each morning, when a strange thing started happening without the slightest warning. It began raining buckets, several dustpans, and a broom, and a box of sponges landed near my window with a boom. Several mops appeared from nowhere, and with playfulness and skill, they paraded in formation and danced upon the sill. Then 12 cans of cleanser and 100 bars of soap spun circles round my bedroom like a spiral gyroscope. They did pirouettes and pivots, they performed a song and dance, and they finished with a combination, wiggle, waltz, and prance. Then they just as quickly vanished. Turning cartwheels across the floor, they went tumbling out the window and bounding out the door. I have no idea what just happened, so I guess I'll just assume that this is someone's way of telling me that I should clean my room.
This song, called Dream Impossible, is about a girl who would like to achieve her dreams, and when she gets there, she does very well.
I will run, I will climb, I will soar. I'm undefeated. Oh, jumping out of my skin, pull the cord. Yeah, I believe it. Oh, the past is everything we were to make us who we are. So I'll dream until I make it real, and all I see is stars. It's not until you fall that you fly. When your dreams come alive, you're unstoppable. Take a shot, chase the sun, find the beautiful. We will go in the dark, turning darkness to gold, and we'll dream impossible. Chase, I will reach, I will fly until I'm breaking out my cage like a bird in the night. I know I'm changing it into something big, better than before. And if it takes 1,000 lives, then it's worth fighting for. It's not until you fall that you fly. When your dreams come
cutting fringes. Once I tried to cut mine myself. Whoops! We all have blue eyes, and Dad says we have button noses. He sometimes pretends to pinch them, but it doesn't hurt. Phil's proper name is Philippa. Her name is hard to spell, and I get the L's and the P's muddled up. Maddie's proper name is Madeline. Her name is hard to spell too. I get the E's and the I's in the wrong place. My name is Tina. It's easy peasy to spell. Thank goodness. We're triplets. Surprise! Everyone thinks that I'm the little sister. It's very annoying. I didn't grow big enough when we were inside our mum. I think that Phil and Maddie must have sat on me and squashed me. When we were born, I was too little to go home with Mum and Phil and Maddie. I had to stay all by myself in a tiny metal cot with a lid on it called an incubator. Well, I expect I had my teddy. The doctors found out that I had something wrong with my heart. Perhaps it was too small, like me. I had to have an operation where they put a tiny little box in my chest to make my heart pump properly. Thank goodness they put me to sleep, so I didn't know anything about it. I nearly died. I did, truly. I'm not meant to know about it, but I've heard the grown-ups whispering. Mum and Dad came to visit me every day, while Gran and Grandad looked after Phil and Maddie. Mum cried because she couldn't give me a proper cuddle. I had to stay inside my incubator. But I got better. I was even allowed into the open air. I grew nearly big enough to go home. But then I got a chest infection and had to have lots and lots of medicine. I didn't have it in a spoon like I do now. The nurse just dripped it straight into my arm. I'm sure she was very gentle. I like nurses. I still have to go to the hospital for checkups, and they always make a fuss of me. Anyway, I got home at last. I could be with Phil and Maddie again.
Sanitizer, sanitizer, and more sanitizer everywhere we look. It's almost as if we've forgotten about washing our hands. But the real question is, should we stick to all the sanitizing, or should we go back to washing our hands? Good day to one and all. As you know, it has been scientifically proven that sanitizer cannot prevent you from getting COVID-19. It merely plays a part in reducing infection. Did you know that in order for sanitizer to work, it has to contain at least 70% of alcohol? The kind of sanitizer that we use most are alcohol-based sanitizers because they kill coronavirus. The alcohol used in sanitizer is called ethanol. There are two types of sanitizers: alcohol-based sanitizers and alcohol-free sanitizers. Alcohol-based sanitizers contain various amounts of alcohol ranging from 60 to 90%. Alcohol-free sanitizers contain a substance called benzalkonium chloride, which acts as the alcohol in these sanitizers. Alcohol-based sanitizer is proven to be more effective. We should, however, wash our hands because alcohol in sanitizer is also a gateway drug. The alcohol in these sanitizers attacks the envelope protein surrounding some viruses, including coronavirus. This envelope protein is vital in order for the virus to survive and multiply. Hence, alcohol sanitizer is very effective, but we should probably wash our hands. Washing our hands is scientifically proven to be the clinical standard of gold hand hygiene. This is because The combination of the detergent and the friction of rubbing our hands together is going to kill most of the microbes and organic germs. When we sneeze or cough into our hands, a pump of alcohol won't do anything. This is because the microbes from our sneeze or cough acts as a shield and protects the virus. So you have to wash your hands. As a result, I hope I've convinced you that hand hygiene of washing hands is very important, and this is what we should stick to. So the next time you feel lazy to wash your hands, think twice. Thank you.
Please don't read this poem by Ken Nesbitt. I'm telling you, it's private. Do not read one more line. Hey! That's one more. Now stop it. This isn't yours, it's mine. You're not allowed to read this. You really have to stop. If you don't stop this instant, I swear I'll call a cop. He'll drag you off in handcuffs and lock you up in jail and leave you there forever until you're old and frail. Your friends will all forget you. You won't even be missed. Your family too will likely forget that you exist. All because you read this, instead of having fun. It's too late now, amigo. The poem's nearly done. There's only one solution. Here's what you'll have to do. Tell your friends and family that they shouldn't read it too.
My juffrou kan maklike moordenaar wees, deur Christine Ortega. Juffrouens kan dan maar lekker oorreageer. Môre meneer. Dis nie my skuld. Nou wil die skool vir my sien, net omdat my Engelse juffrou uitvreek, omdat ek vir haar byl en 'n briefoopmaker as persent gegee het. Dis nie my skuld, juffrou Dowling. Lyk presies soos een van die most wanted kriminele in Amerika. En dat sy ooit weier om Afrikaans in haar Engelse klas te praat nie. So week terug Google ek oor kriminele, vir 'n maand. En daar wys hulle die 10 most wanted kriminele in die geskiedenis van Amerika. Foto 8 was hierdie vrou met woesteraaie hare en sulke dun swart bril. Carol McIntyre. Dit is eers toe ek inzoom dat ek besef het, sy lyk presies soos Dowling. Ek kon nie alles haar lees nie, want Inet het vir my gewag vir 'n landspeletjie. So ek net vir hulle gelees, sy het jare terug uit Amerika verdwyn en dat sy haar kinders met 'n mes en 'n byl vermoor het. Môre juffrou. Juffrou Dowling het verlede jaar by die skool aangekom en sy het nie kinders nie. Sy weet ook nie veel van skool gee nie, want sy gil die meeste van die tyd. Om haar uit te lok en $1 miljoen as beloning te kry, was maklik. Gee haar 'n kans om 'n kind te vermoor. Nou, my ma sal my vermoor as ek een van haar mense vat. So ek het my pa se briefoopmaker toegedraai en vanoggend voor klas op haar tafel neergesit. Sy het natuurlik dadelik die persent opgemaak, want die juffrou wat so baie gil, kry nooit persente nie. Sy het vreeslik skuldig gelyk met die briefoopmaker in haar hand. En toe nog meer benoud, toe niemand geweet het waar dit vandaan kom nie. Ek was seker, ek het vir Carol McIntyre opgespoor. Ek het alles moontlik gedoen om Dowling uit te lok. Sy moes my 3 keer stomak en ek het sommer my bar one wat vir pauze bedoel was in haar klas geëet, terwyl sy van Shakespeare gepraat het. Sy het eers rooi geword en toe half witterig, maar toe ek my bar one papier op die vloer neergooi en vir haar glimlag, het sy die laag opgeruk vir die detentieboek. Sy het net witter en witter geword, terwyl sy na die laag gestaar het. Ek was seker dit was nou die einde, want ek het my pa se byl met 'n helder pink nota, to Miss Dowling, omdat sy sê, Carol, in haar laag sit. Onderaan het ek geskryf, I know what you did. Sy het reguit na my gestaar, Liewe Annie van der Byl, het sy harder as ooit tevore geskree. Ek kon voel hoe ek rooi raak. Hoe is sy geweet het was ek? Het sy haar kinders name ook so geskreef voor sy hulle opgechop het. Sy het die bel in die lug hou en op die steel het my pa sy naam gestaan. Sy het iets gegil van, ek haat kinders, maar ek is gedwing om onderwys te swat. En by by die deur uitgestorm. Ek het nie eens geweet sy kon Afrikaans praat nie.
I Let My Sister Cut My Hair by Ken Nesbitt. I had to get a haircut. It was looking much too long. I let my sister cut it. I mean, what could she do wrong? She clipped some bald spots here and there. She whacked the sides a little. And then she shaved a 3-inch stripe directly down the middle. She chopped some sections super short, left others long and wild. Then shaved one eyebrow off before she looked at me and smiled. I don't think that I'll let her give me haircuts anymore. Or maybe I'll just wait a while, at least until she's 4. Spring by Rebecca Sahlola. Winter is gone and spring has come. The weather is warm, so I put away my coat. I see flowers blooming. I hear birds tweeting. The grass is green and it looks so clean. I hear eggs hatching. I see frogs jumping. I sit for a picnic, so peaceful and perfect. Thank you, spring, for being there for me, but summer is coming.
The Perfect Cup of Cocoa by Barbara Vance. The perfect cup of cocoa is rich and chocolatey and always warm, but not too hot. A steaming chocolate sea. The surface is enclosed beneath a thick marshmallow mound, which melts into a gooey cloud without the slightest sound. A whipped cream swirl extends beyond the surface of the cup, and chocolate sprinkles at the perfect touch to dress it up. The perfect cup of cocoa is like an old best friend. It's warm, it's sweet, and such a treat, and yummy till the end.
The world after pandemic. It all started with Batman, yes, in the city of Wuhan in China. As my 6-year-old brother puts it, a man hunted a bat that had a virus in it and he ate it. Bats became a mystery. Scientists were not sure of the exact reason of the spread, but they did agree that it was a human disease of an animal origin. It emerged in China and spread extremely quickly. In the month of March, my mother went for grocery shopping when she heard that the first confirmed case of COVID-19 appeared in South Africa. The fear spread across the world. Civic and commercial activities were suspended. Schools had immediately shut down. And the entire job community had to be home except the essential services. Airports closed, planes grounded, and complete ban on traveling. It felt as if time had stopped. It felt as if the world had come to standstill. It felt hard to predict the future. People lost jobs, children remained home. Families could not go to meet their loved ones. The economy collapsed. The humanity prayed and sang for their frontline heroes and hoped too this shall pass. The world understood the true term heroes in real sense. Professions such as doctors, nurses, social workers, and home delivery workers were all on duty, including my father, who is a banker. There were people who made sure to feed the hungry. The change wasn't so easy, but people adapted with courage. My point of view is what we will learn from this pandemic. Yes, we all made changes big and small. We were physically distanced, but the internet allowed us to reach into each other's homes. Time allowed us to explore hobbies and interests we might never had before. Books, exercise, arts, and games. Some meditated, some sang. and some even danced. My mom knew we would miss friends and school, so she left no stone unturned to keep us engaged in our physical healthy routine. We colored, painted, read books, went cycling in the complex, and even had movie night with the family. We all saw our mothers play the role of teachers, cleaners as no house help, a cook to a chef, and at the very same times, a friend. Time taught us to take care of our health and value God-gifted good things or blessings, and don't take anything for granted. Can you imagine how important was a handshake, a granny's hug, meeting relatives, outing, going to the beach, shopping, traveling? Being able to breathe fresh air, it helped lower the pollution. Can I tell you an interesting fact? As Venice streets are amidst lockdown, residents are saying they can see more fish in the famous canals, and the water appears much cleaner. I mean, how beautiful. In the future, in my opinion, this crisis will change people's approach to life. Due to reduced incomes, many people will realize the importance of financial reserves and value their earnings more than before and appreciate the work they do. Governments will make healthcare systems strong and governments healthy. In the end, I would like to say, time taught us a lesson, and we should learn from it.
When Frankenstein Was Just a Kid by Ken Nesbitt. When Frankenstein was just a kid, he ate his greens. It's true, he did. He ate his spinach, salads, peas, asparagus, and foods like these. And with each leaf and lima bean, his skin became a bit more green. On chives and chard he loved to chew, and Brussels sprouts and peppers too, until he ate that fateful bean that turned his skin completely green. He turned all green and stayed that way, and now he frightens folks away. Poor Frankenstein, his tale is sad, but things need not have been so bad. It's fair to say, if only he had eaten much less celery, avoided cabbage, ate no kale, why, then we'd have a different tale. And that is why I'm here to say, please take these vegetables away, or my fate could be just as grim. Yes, I could end up green, like him. So, Mom and Dad, before we dine, please give a thought to Frankenstein.
The Ghost in Classroom 3 by Tony Bradman. There's a tapping on the window, a moaning at the door, and something ectoplasmic sticking to the floor. But don't be frightened by anything you see. It's really nothing special. Just the ghost in Classroom 3. It doesn't come out often, maybe once or twice a year. It wanders round and mutters. Then, poof, it disappears. Sometimes it sits at the desk, marking books continually. But it's really nothing special. Just the ghost in Classroom 3. Some say it was a teacher who met a nasty end. She had a class full of awful kids who drove her around the bend. And sometimes there is screaming and it weeps dismally. But it's really nothing special. Just the ghost in Classroom 3. She swore she'd come and haunt them, but they laughed and didn't care. And now she haunts the cupboard, which otherwise is bare. And sometimes there are others, a whole class full you can see, doing endless endless homework for the ghost in classroom 3. Some say that it isn't possible and that it's just a story. But classroom 3, you must admit, feels different, sort of eerie. And once upon the blackboard, someone wrote mysteriously, "I'll haunt the school forever. I'm the ghost in classroom 3. There's a tapping on the windows, there's a rattling on the desks, and something is trying to get out of teacher's locked drawer. But don't panic. Don't be frightened. Don't scare too easily. It's really nothing special. Just the ghost in classroom 3.
Die Krikkelwander deur Philip de Vos. Partykeer as ons klein Karlien nie haar sin kan kry nie, gebeur daar tog die snaakste ding, maar niemand glo vir my. Eers raak sy groen. Ja, donkergroen. Haar mond raak seer soos 'n suurlemoen. Haar feisies bal, sy skree en raas. Sy sê, ek moet dit hê, ek is die baas. Hou Karlien nou mooiste dop. 2 horings groei uit haar kop. Sy het nou duidelik verander in die booskwaai monster, Krikkelwander. Die Krikkelwander blaas en rook. Daar stoom wat uit sy ore kook. Hy swiep sy stert deur die kombuis en stamp sy voete deur die huis.
Song for Autumn by Mary Oliver. In the deep fall, don't you imagine, the leaves think how comfortable it'll be to touch the earth instead of the nothingness of it and the endless freshets of wind. And don't you think the trees themselves, especially those with mossy, warm caves, begin to think of the birds that will come, 6, a dozen, to sleep inside their bodies? And don't you hear the goldenrod whispering goodbye, the everlasting being crowned with the first tuffets of snow? The pond vanishes, and the wide field over which the fox runs so quickly brings out its blue shadows. And the wind pumps its bellows, and at evening especially, the piled firewood shifts a little, longing to be on its way.
Greedy Dog by James Hurley. This dog will eat anything. Apple cores and bacon fat. Milk you pour out for the cat. He likes the string that ties the roast and relishes hot buttered toast. Hide your chocolates, he's a thief. He'll even eat your handkerchief. And if you don't like sudden shocks, carefully conceal your socks. Leave some soup without a lid, and you'll wish you never did. When you think he must be full, you find him gobbling bits of wool. Orange peels and paper bags, dusters and old cleaning rags. This dog will eat anything, except for mushrooms and cucumber. Now, what is wrong with those, I wonder?